Ike, I don't want to believe you have become the wife in your home. What happened to you? Why have you decided to become a house husband? A man who stays home, performing nanny's duties for his wife. Why you let your wife, who is supposed to be doing these duties, go out there, living her best life in name of work? How sure are you that she is even where she told you she is? Don't you know she might even be in another man's house right now enjoying her life? I can't believe this is how you have decided to end up, Ike. Stop it, Eze. Stop it already, Eze. Ike shouted at his friend, asking him to keep his voice low so he doesn't wake up his son from sleep. I will not, Ike, because I can see what a woman my friend brought home is about to turn my friend into. The last time I came here, I saw you washing even her pants and that of your son. Last 2 weeks I was here. You were in the kitchen cooking your own food. God knows this cannot happen in my home. You can never find me anywhere close to the kitchen in my home, or see me washing my own clothes, let alone that of my wife. That can never be me, Eze. God forbid, Eze said, snapping his fingers 3 times. A woman I brought into my home, looking at me doing all this I see you do here. It cannot happen in my home, except she wants to go back to her father's house. Just then, Ike's little boy woke up from his sleep, crying. You see now, you just woke him up. This is why I asked you to keep your voice low. Ike said to his friend Eze, standing up to go carry his crying son. Chai! Eze, who followed his friend into the room, shouted, snapping his fingers again 3 times. What is it, Eze? Ike, who thought something bad had happened, asked his friend, looking worried and concerned. Did anything happen, Eze? Did you receive a call or something? Ike continued to ask. Everything has happened, Ike. I mean, what can be more disastrous than this? Eze said, pointing at Ike and his son. I do not understand, Eze. What are you really saying? Ike asked his friend. Just look at my friend. Staying home, changing babies' diapers. Something real men do not even know how to do. I ask you again, my friend. Is this how you really want to end up? I think I've had enough, Eze. I can't take this again from you. Where is the wrong in changing my own son's diapers? You're talking like you do not know I lost my job months back, and getting another one has not been easy at all. And I have to stay home for the meantime to assist my wife, who have been working tirelessly to see that we eat and pay our bills. And if you think doing any of this had reduced the man in me, so be it, Eze. If you are no longer comfortable with me, I think you should stop coming over until I get a job and see your definition of a real man. See, Ike, my friend, there is nothing to get angry about. I am only watching out for my friend to make sure he doesn't end up taking the position of a woman in his home, while the wife becoming the man. You know how most women who are the breadwinners do behave. They tend to disregard and disrespect their husband, while they go out there to catch a man who is wealthy. I am just saying women do not like poor men. Well, Eze, I have heard you, and thank God you said most women, not all women. My wife is different. I know who I got married to. And please, you can leave my house now. I need to take care of my son. Well, I will leave, Ike. It's obvious you no longer want me around. But do not sleep on these things I told you. Think about it, Eze said, and stood up and left. Ike sat down using his hands to support his head when his friend left. For some reasons, he was angry. Even the little baby playing and smiling at him didn't change his mood. He looked at the wall clock and saw it was past 5 p.m. Isn't she supposed to be home by now? Someone her office closes by 4 p.m. What is she still doing out there? Ike said out loud, angrily. Even though my friend Eze talks too much, she is right sometimes. I am beginning to think he is right on this, because tell me why Ify would always return home late almost every day. To think I have not thought about her lateness all those time. I think I have been a fool. I have been fooled, just like Eze said. Just then the door opened and Ify entered the house carrying grocery bags. Hey baby, I have missed you, she said, dropping the bags to hug her husband, who gave her a cold look. Is anything the matter? Ify asked, looking around the house. Where is my son? She asked, entering the room to see their son. Ike followed behind, looking at her closely. Why are you coming home by this time? This is almost 6 p.m. and you are just getting home. Ife, who was bending, playing with their son, who didn't know Ike followed her into the room, screamed when Ike spoke. You just scared life out of me, Ike. Ife said, standing up, carrying their son. You haven't answered my question. Why are you just getting home? Ike continued. What is happening, Ike? Did anything happen when I was away? I said, why are you just coming home by this time? Ike shouted at her, his voice rising. There was traffic jam and I had to rush to the store to buy some foodstuffs too. Ife said, looking closely at her husband. What is happening, Ike? Why the question? Why are you behaving like if you have forgotten what it takes to get back home after work? Then what of other days you did not stop by grocery stores? What kept you from returning home early? Ike persisted with his questions. Oh my God, Ikem, you really acting strange this evening. You know I always try to be home on time, except for this, I cannot beat the traffic jam. Tell me why all those questions, because I know you understand too well how busy the roads are. And it has always been a struggle getting back home on time. And you know where we are living is a bit far from my workplace. So you're telling me you didn't branch somewhere else on your way back? Ike asked his wife. Where else would I have gone to, Ike? Ife, who was already getting annoyed, snapped at him. To be honest, I am really disappointed and surprised at this behavior this evening. That night, as Ife was in the kitchen preparing dinner, she couldn't get the thought of what happened when she returned from work off her chest. When she was done preparing their dinner, she entered the room to inform her husband that the dinner was ready. When she entered the room, she met Ike going through her phone. What are you doing with my phone? Ife asked, surprised, because her husband hardly does that. Ike ignored her question and continued with what he was doing. Ife stood there for some time looking at him before she angrily left him with the phone and went to the dining table to have her dinner. She was almost through with her food when Ike came to join her. Immediately Ike sat down to eat. She stood up and carried her plates to the kitchen to wash, avoiding any more conversation with Ike because she was already pissed off. She hurriedly left the kitchen and carried their son to her room and locked her door. That night, she couldn't sleep well. Her head was aching. She would turn from time to time, thinking about her husband's recent behavior. She woke up in the morning with a bang on her head. She didn't feel too well to go to work, but she had to because she had got a presentation to make at her place of work. She hurried out of her bed and quickly rushed to prepare breakfast and put things in order before she leaves. She was surprised to see that Ike had left his last night's dinner plates on the dining table. Good morning, Ike, she greeted him when he came out of his room. Why did you leave your plates in the dining yesterday night? She asked him. What sort of question is that this morning? Ike started. It's obvious you no longer know your duties as a woman in this house. It's all my fault. I lowered myself, but I'm about to correct that soon, Ike said to her and left to his room. Ife was startled. She stood looking confused, trying to make meaning out of what her husband said to her. She doesn't understand what was going on. The only thing she knew was that her husband isn't the same person. She hurriedly cleared the dining table and dished Ike's food. She cleaned up their son and took her own bath too, and was set to leave the house when she saw Ike coming out of his room, all dressed up, and was about leaving the house. Are you going somewhere, Ike? Ife asked, surprised. Yes, I have somewhere important to go to this morning, Ike replied. Then why didn't you tell me about this? What of our son? Who is going to look after him? Ife asked him, almost crying. That's your business. Figure that out on your own. Besides, that's a woman's job, Ike said to her and left the house. Ife couldn't believe what just happened. She stood looking at the closed door, crying. Why today of all days? She asked herself. Where do I start from now? She rushed into the kitchen again and started putting her baby's food into a bag. After she packed some of his clothes into a bag and left the house, she took the baby to a daycare center, paid them and left. She got to her place of work very late. The angry look from her boss sent cold shiver down her spine. Sir, please, it wasn't intentional. Save us that explanation, Mrs. Ife Annie. You ruined what this company had been planning for months. The investors were here earlier and they have left because they thought we are not serious. All thanks to you, Mrs. Sani. You should be very happy now. The effort, capital invested into this project all went to waste. You should be proud of yourself, the boss said sadly. I am really sorry, Ife started, but she was cut short by their boss. Mrs. Ife Annie, what exactly are you sorry about? Please kindly pick your bag and go back home until further notice. Hot tears were running down Ife's face as she heads home. Her heart was beating fast. She hated Ike so much at the moment. To her, he was the true definition of the devil we were advised to pray against. Why would he do that to her? She just lost her job or about losing it. She doesn't know. All the years of dedication and effort about to go down the drain, she cried. Ike, who had left home earlier that morning with no exact destination in mind, decided to hang around in his friend's shop. When he got tired of staying there, he decided to visit his friend Eze, whom he knew would be at home because he doesn't work on Fridays, at least to tell him the necessary actions he had taken so far towards his wife Ife. When he got to Eze's house and rang the bell, he was glad it was Eze who had come to open the door. The two friends shook hands. Hope everything is good at home. This one you are in my place today without your son. Eze asked him, surprised. Ike laughed. That's why I am here, Eze. I have a lot to tell you. That your yesterday's visit was an eye-opener for me. I have to take back my position as a man of the house by force. This morning, I had to pretend I have a pressing matter to attend and left her and her son. You can't be serious, Ike. What of her job? Eze asked, concerned. That's her business if she decides to stay home today or look after her own son. At least she's getting the message now that I am not a fool. Wow, I'm really surprised, Ike, Eze said. You surprised me, Ike. Don't you think you are going too far already with this? No, I am not, Ike said. Did you try going through her phone? Eze asked. Of course, that was the first thing I did yesterday when she came back, but I didn't see anything suspicious in the phone. Ike was still talking when Eze's wife started screaming her husband's name. Where is that stupid man? Eze! Eze! Is that not what you are cooking that is burning on fire? Burn down this house and see what I will do to you, useless man. Ike was taken aback when he heard his friend's wife talking. Eze, who looked embarrassed and ashamed, left Ike, telling him he would be back soon. Ike stood looking at him, rushing to the kitchen. He was confused. He didn't understand what was happening. Few minutes later, Eze came back to be with his friend. He was about sitting down when his wife's voice came up again. Eze! Eze! Would I have to remind you all the time to clean your own children up every morning? Don't you ever check time and see what the time is saying, useless man? It's almost noon and the children are yet to have their bath. I'm no longer talking about the clothes you soaked up since yesterday. Eze! What are you doing there? Can't you hear what I am saying? Ike, who was shocked to his bones, was staring at his friend Eze. I have got some situations at hand now. I am sorry, Ike. I think you have to be going. I will call you to explain later, Eze pleaded. Ike, who was lost in thought, without uttering a word, moved to the door, opened it and left. He still could not comprehend what just happened before his eyes. Eho Eze, a real man, being talked to that way by his wife. A woman ordering a real man around in his house. No, this cannot be happening, he said out loud, slapping himself to make sure he wasn't sleeping. What have I done? He stopped and asked himself, thinking how he had left his home that morning. He brought out his phone and called his wife's number, but it wasn't reachable. He looked at his wristwatch and it was past 1 p.m. How did Ife do it this morning? He asked himself. He wondered if she stayed home that morning or managed to get to work. Just then, he remembered the project his wife had been working on almost every night for some weeks now. Oh my God! It's today not 6th of September. She said she would be presenting the work. He started hurrying home. As he walked home, he would remember what he witnessed in Eze's house. Thanks heavens, my wife Ife is nothing like Eze's wife, he would say to himself. Despite the fact she has been the one carrying the financial load of their family on her shoulders, for almost a year, she has been respectful, never complained about him not working, have always played her role as a mother and a wife. When he got home, he wasn't expecting to see anyone at home because of how quiet the whole house was. But he was shocked when he opened the door and met his wife Ife on the bed crying. His feet turned cold at sight of his wife. Hope you enjoyed this amazing story. What moral lesson from the story or input you would like to share with us in the comment section? Please do well to subscribe to our channel for another beautiful story coming up soon. Like our video as well, and thank you so much for your time and support. Bye.